So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Karaoke back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Monday, December 28th. Everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend and had a very good Christmas. I know I did. Hopefully you did as well. It is, in fact, Monday, December 28th, back to, just back to work, whatever you got to do. It is, in fact, Monday. We are coming out of Christmas break, but it was a great Christmas, like always. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their Christmas. Hopefully everyone had a good time with whatever you did, whatever it was, family, friends. Hopefully you had a good time and enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I got a lot of good gifts, obviously. I had a very fun time hanging out with just family and friends and, getting all that good stuff and eating lots of good food. That's always one of the best parts is eating food. If you don't know me, I love to eat. So eating food is, one of the highlights always of any holiday, whether you're talking about Thanksgiving, Christmas, or even New Year's. Eating is always usually one of the highlights. So hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas, and we're still tackling the holiday season. New Year's is right around the corner. I think New Year's Day is Friday, and New Year's Eve is Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. 2021 is right around the corner. If anyone's like me, I think a lot of people can agree. I'm very excited for 2021. I want 2020 to be gone. I wanted it to be out of here, and I'm excited for what 2021 has in store. And I hope hopefully it's a much better year than this year. Obviously, we all know what's gone on in this year. It's been crazy. You've had a lot go on, but 2021 hopefully is much better. That's obviously the goal. So we'll get into all that stuff. Yesterday the New York Jets did win. If you cannot see, I've got, you probably can't see, it's tough to see, but I actually got a Joe Namath jersey, so I'm wearing the Joe Namath jersey today. Happy about the win yesterday. As many as you might be thinking otherwise, I'm excited about the win. I was rooting for the win yesterday. I'm really excited. For the first time in a very long time, I can sit here, wear a jersey on Monday, and be happy about a win. And I know a lot of Jets fans were still rooting for the loss and stuff, but here's my whole thing. Last week when we won I knew that was it. We lost Trevor Lawrence, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to root for them this week to win, and I'm going to root for them to beat the Patriots, and that's obviously the goal. And I've said on this podcast for a very long time now, I don't like to root for the tank. I like to see my team win. I like to enjoy a win, like I said, even on Monday, wearing the jersey, talking about it. That's what I like. But, when you have a talent like Trevor Lawrence right there, at times you're like, if you're looking at the big picture, like, what does this win mean for us? Well, that's what I was thinking last week. Last week we won. We lost Trevor Lawrence, so I knew we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence, so I was rooting for the win this week. Was happy we got the win. Was excited we got the win. And we'll see what this NFL draft has in store, because now things got a whole lot interesting. We've officially clinched the number 2 seed. So we'll see what we do with that, whether we go the quarterback route, whether we go an offensive lineman, whatever we do, it's going to be exciting, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds. Quick thing. Just a couple studio things. I got the 2 new pop heads here. I got a Kevin Durant one on the Nets. I'm pointing to him right now. This one. Joe Namath pop head. It's a little, kind of bobblehead thingy to put in my studio. And then I've always had the Glaber Torres one over here. And then this, too, I changed the battery. So the football guy with the light is much more clear now. So, So these are the topics for today. We got the NFL games, Jets and Giants. Like I said, I'll be reviewing the entire NFL, Jets, Giants, all the teams from the Friday games all the way up into yesterday's games. I'll be recapping it all here on the podcast. Then we got fantasy football, fantasy basketball advice, and some results. Lost in fantasy basketball, but quick turnaround. And in fantasy football, I'm winning in both leagues, winning big in both leagues. Looking at the moment, it's looking like I'm going to finish third in both leagues, but I said that last week about me going to the playoffs or me going to the finals, and I blew it, so I don't want to get too overconfident here, but as of right now, it's looking pretty good. And then we'll get into college basketball, college football, NBA, Nets, Knicks, and Kentucky. Nets lost yesterday. They play again today. Frustrated about the loss yesterday. Really feel like we should have won, but, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you can't win them all. Kentucky 1-6. Just it's not looking good for us. This seems like one of these years where it's just not looking good for us. It really isn't. So we'll see what all happens there. And as for the Knicks, they got a big win last night. So we'll recap that all here on the podcast. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So yesterday was a quite enjoyable day for me. I was rooting for the Jets to win. They were able to get the win. As funny as it may sound, I know there was a lot of Jets fans still rooting for the loss. This entire season, I've been rooting for wins up until week 14. Last week, I was rooting for Trevor Lawrence. So I guess I was semi-rooting for the loss, but at the same time, I did not want to go 0-16. I was in the middle, but I really wanted Trevor Lawrence. So last week, obviously, wasn't happy that we did beat the Rams, but we beat the Rams. And I knew we were done. We are not going to get Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars are going to tank. The Jaguars are not going to win. They got the Bears, lost yesterday, and then they got a Colts team who could possibly be, or who's playing for a playoff spot next week. So they're going to lose both of those games. I was like, there's no way we win any of these. There's no way that they're going to win a game. There's no way. I was saying, you know what, I'm going to root for the Jets today. If somehow in the fourth quarter the Jaguars are winning, then I'll be like, okay, maybe Jets slow down. But that was not the case. Jaguars got demolished 41-17, I think. And I was rooting for the win yesterday, and I'm glad the Jets got the win yesterday. I really am. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but, everyone has their own opinions on it. Everyone can be a fan how they want to be. In my personal opinion, I was rooting for the win yesterday. I'm glad we got the win. I knew we lost out on Trevor Lawrence, so why sit there, root for them to, why sit there, hope they lose, and have no impact whatsoever? I know the win means nothing, but like I said, so what does a loss do? Okay, we're going to get the second pick either way. We clinched the top 2 pick. The Jaguars are not going to win next week. If they win next week, then we could sit here and say, you know what? If we would have lost to one of these games, when we would have had it. But I don't think they're going to win next week, okay, people? People got to understand that, the Jaguars are not going to win next week, okay? They're not going to win next week. So people got to start to realize that, it's okay to root for a win. I was rooting for the win yesterday because we already lost out on Trevor Lawrence. I knew we lost out on Trevor Lawrence, so getting a win helps. I mean, I was optimistic. I was happy. It's not the season we wanted. It was not the season I wanted. I don't think any Jets fan wanted it. We're 2-13. We got one more game left, and hopefully we can end on a high note and fire Gaze and see what happens in the offseason. So that's my view on it. And then we'll get into the game really quickly. So these are my game pick records for the week. I went 9-6. Not my most successful week, but 9-6 it is what it is. Going for the double-digit week once again. This week I'm moved my record to 166-84 overall. So 166-84 I would say is very, very, very good. 166-84. is pretty solid. I'm so confident with the way these games have been going. So 166-84 is how I'm doing. So it's a good record. It's a good record without a doubt. And one more week to, I would imagine one more week I could get at least 4 to 3 wins. So 170, 175 is probably very likely for me to finish out the year. But obviously next season, week 17, it's really crazy. We're already in week 17. It really is crazy. So there's some NFL game pick records. So back to the Jets. We'll get into it here. So the Jets won 23-16. They moved to 2-13 on the season. Browns moved to 10-5. Browns is a big loss for the Browns. I mean, it really is. A team that's trying to fight for the playoffs. A team that's trying to get into the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. A team who's got a lot of talent to make the playoffs. Myles Garrett, Mayfield, Landry, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Denzel Ward. I mean, guys all over the ball. Olivier Vernon's been picking it up the past couple weeks. Sheldon Richardson had 2 block kicks yesterday. So obviously I thought overall, I thought this team has a lot of talent. The Browns have a lot of talent, and obviously it just goes to show you how strong the AFC East is. The fact that they're able to, it just goes to show you how strong the AFC is. Not the AFC, sorry, the AFC. You might have an 11-5 team or a 10-16 not make the playoffs. But as for the NFC, you might have a 6-10 Giants team make the playoffs, right? It is really just crazy how AFC and NFC are so different, and how weak the NFC is and how strong the AFC is. It's always been like that. The past couple of seasons, it's been the NFC that's always been weak. You might get an NFC Super Bowl champion, but the playoffs are always so weak. That's why people always say, oh, NFC, they get an easy road to the playoffs, because sometimes you play these below 500 teams. Like, whoever plays the NFC East in the playoffs, you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to beat that team. The NFC East is going to lose first round. I don't care if it's the Cowboys, Redskins, or the Giants in the playoffs. They're going to lose first round. It's going to be whatever other team is, whatever the other team playing the NFC East is. So, it really is crazy. But the Browns, man, they needed this win. I mean, this was one of these games where you have to have, I know a lot of people are talking about, the fact that, they didn't have players and this and that, but, at the same time, you can't always make that as an excuse. That's one of the things always. You can't always say that's as an excuse. You can't always sit here and say, oh, well, if we had this guy, and this guy, you can't use that always as an excuse. Even Kevin Stefanski said it. Their own head coach said it. I know a lot of people will sit here and say all about, this team, with all these COVID cases and stuff. No, you cannot. I know it's uncertain times, and even, Kevin Stefanski said the day of the game, or the day of the game, they got up early, at the hotel by MetLife Stadium. They got up early and they were doing walkthroughs in the parking garage next to the hotel. That's just how crazy it is this season. So I don't know if you really blame the fact that they lost on all that. I mean, they probably would have won with some of their star receivers, but I would so much blame, some of these receivers. I mean, even the offense. I mean, the offense too. I mean, this stuff is just, Austin Hooper yesterday had 15 targets and only 7 catches. He only had 7 catches. He had 15 targets and only caught the ball 7 times. And they barely, and the run game, too, wasn't getting going yesterday. And that's another thing, too. This is a team that heavily relies on the run game, and they did not do that. And they were just a team that heavily relies on the run game, and were not able to use the run game. So, the Browns lose. And as for the Jets played very well. The Jets played a good football game. I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. It frustrates me to say it, but if the Jets, would do this stuff, play like this earlier in the year, it would be much better. We wait. It's the same thing that happened last season, people. We started off 1-7. We finished the year 6-2. It's just too late. It's too late. The Jets are finally playing good football. But it's way too late. It's too late. The Jets season's over. That's what stinks. Is why couldn't you do this week 1 when it actually mattered? Why couldn't you do this early on in the year? And you can't make that. And I know some people might say, oh, well, they didn't have this. No. Why couldn't you play like this in the beginning of the year? Why are you waiting now to win football games? Why are you waiting now to win football games? Why? And I'm happy we got the win and all, right? I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm happy and all that. I'm not stoked. I'm happy. I know the season's over. We got one more game left. But still, why wait until the final 3 weeks of the season to start to play some actual good football? Why? And that's the problem. It's too late. It's too late. It really is. If you were going to play like this, can you please do it in the beginning of the year? It's the same thing every year with the New York Jets. We stink in the beginning, and late in the season, we look like an actual competent football team. Same thing again this year. We're 0-13. We look awful. Now we win 2 straight, and we actually look like a competent football team. And I like the way the guys played. I like the way the players played yesterday. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me rooting for a win, but I was. And you want to know why? Because I knew we lost out on Trevor Lawrence against the Rams, and I'm happy we got the win. Okay? Still rooting for a loss when you know you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence? That's outrageous. I know, and I can understand why. But I was rooting for the win yesterday, and I'm happy we got the win, and I'm excited about it because I knew we lost out on Trevor Lawrence, and to see the guys go out there and get a win like they did is good. And hey, they're playing spoilers. Who knows? They could have just ruined the Browns' chance at the playoffs. So good win for the New York Jets. They played well, had a couple good defensive plays, had the fumble late that they recovered to win the game. They really stopped Mayfield, and it is. I mean, I'm happy. I really am. And I know it's 2-13. I understand. I still want Gase fired, and I still think this team stinks. But to have one little bit of enjoyment in this entire season, this is it. This is the only time I can enjoy a win, really. I mean, next week too. This is really one of the only times I've been excited about the Jets' performance on Sunday on a Monday. That's all I can say. So, the Jets won, 23-16. Some of the numbers, we did run some trickery plays, and all those people, too, this is another thing, and I'm a little concerned about this, too, but I don't think he is. All those people out there who don't think Gase is going to get fired, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I've kind of went off that road of worrying about that. I was definitely worrying about it the entire year, just because of the fact that, Douglas and Gase are close, and Darnold saying what he's saying about Gase, but I can't picture if we go 2-14. I don't think we'll win next week. I mean, even with these 2 wins in a row, I still don't think we will win next week. With us going 2-14, more than likely, I can't imagine. I really can't imagine the fact. I just can't. I really can't imagine that. I just can't. I don't know. I can't imagine we keep Gase. And I know a lot of people are going to be concerned, last season we finished 6-2 and on a high note and stuff. But here's another thing, too, you could veto that with. Well, finish on a high note and all that. What the fact is that means it means nothing. Finishing the year on a high note means absolutely nothing. So, I don't think the fact that we are going to win 2 games, maybe 3 in a row, and finish 3-13 or 2-14, even if you finish 3-13, that's ugly. That is really ugly. So I would venture to say no. I mean, still have that still in the back of my head. I'm thinking that what if, this is the Jets. But at the same time, you can't be that stupid to keep a guy like Gase. And I wish we fired him 10 weeks ago. I said this. I wish we fired him in the offseason. We should have fired him in the offseason. We should have never hired him in the first place. But that's another story, because I could get into a whole thing of that, but we have the rest of the league together. So Sam Darnold with 16-32, 175 yards, 10.9 was average, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, and a rating of 87.4. I'll tell you what, Darnold, I mean, for a guy that's, trying to prove a case for him to stay here, he's making a good case at the moment. Definitely not the year he was hoping for, but he's getting some good games here. Crowder, we ran a little bit of a trick play. Crowder went 101, 43 yards and a touchdown on a rating of 158.3. We ran a trick play with Crowder. He threw the ball. We did a pitch and another pitch to Crowder. Darnold blocked. Crowder threw it to Berrios for the touchdown. So a little bit of a trick play. But like I said, when you're 1-13, might as well do those trick plays because the games mean absolutely nothing. Frank Gore had 14 carries for 48 yards, 3.4 was his average. He hit 48 yards right on the dot. He is the third. He was the third player in the NFL history to get 16,000 yards, only behind 2 all-time greats in Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith. So congrats for Frank Gore on that prestigious honor. To hit 16,000 yards for a running back is he's only the third one to ever do it, and he did it yesterday. So good for Gore. Just another thing in the record books for him, and just another thing to add on to what will be his what will be a Hall of Fame career for Gore. Crowder had 7 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. Berrios had 3 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Chris Herndon had 4 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. Yesterday, Sam Ficken did miss 2 kicks, so both of those kicks got blocked. So not ideal, not really Ficken's fault, but 2 block kicks. And as for the Browns, Mayfield went 28-53, 285 yards, 10.2 was average. He took 4 sacks on a rating of 68.5. Chubb had 11 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt also had a touchdown. Hooper had 7 catches for 71 yards. Bradley had 5 catches for 60 yards, and Hunt had 3 catches for 41 yards. Like I said, just really odd. This is a team that just really did not show up yesterday. Not many receivers. So, good win for the New York Jets, and like I said, I'm excited. I know a lot of people are not excited, but we lost Trevor Lawrence last week. It was good to watch a win. It was good to root for a win, and feels good to wear a Jets jersey on a Monday celebrating a win. So that's what I got for the New York Jets. Coming up next, we got the New York Giants. They lose to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens win 27-13. Giants lose. They move to 5-10 on the season. Ravens keep their playoff hopes alive, and they move to 10-5. So the Ravens obviously are making it interesting, but it looks like they will squeak in to the playoffs. We'll get to that in just a little bit here. As crazy as it may sound, the Giants technically still have a shot at making the playoffs, and a realistic shot. So next week, there's going to be each NFC East team's going to play next week. It's going to be the Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Washington, and that's it. 2 games, 4 teams, right? So that's it. So, so that's the 4 teams playing. So you got the 4 teams playing: Eagles, Redskins, and Cowboys, Giants. So this is how it's going to go. The Giants, in order to get in, they need to win. If the Giants lose, their season's over. Forget about it. They're done. If the Giants win and the Cowboys, or if the Giants win and Washington loses, then the Giants are out. Washington's in. Now, I think since Washington owns the tiebreaker, if Washington wins, they're in. No matter what. If Washington wins, they're in. So that's the thing. Pretty much for Washington on Sunday, that all they literally have to do is win and they're in. There's no other way of saying it. They win and they're in. That's how it is for Washington. They win, they're in. No matter if the Cowboys win, no matter if the Giants win, whoever wins, if Washington wins, they're in. So literally all Washington has to do is just focus on the win, get the win, and they're in. Now, if Washington happens to lose, then I would think the Cowboys would then have to win. The Cowboys, hold on one second, let me check here. So this is how it is. So if Washington's 6-9, it's over the Cowboys. If Washington loses, then I don't think they can win the division, because then it's going to be down to either the Giants or the Cowboys. So if Washington loses, they can't win the division unless if there's a tie. I think that's how it's going to go. If Washington loses, they can't win a division unless if there's a tie, because they would be 6-10, and then the winner of the Cowboys-Giants game would be in. So that's how it is. So if Washington loses, the winner of the Giants-Cowboys game is the team that's going to the playoffs. So we could very well see, if the Giants make the playoffs, we're going to see a 6-10 playoff team. If the Cowboys make the playoffs, we'll see a 7-9 playoff team. If Washington makes the playoffs, we'll see a 7-9 playoff team. We could possibly be seeing a 7-9 playoff team. So the Giants need to win, and Washington needs to lose. Cowboys need to win, and Washington needs to lose. Now, if Washington loses, then whoever wins that Cowboys-Giants game is in the playoffs. So that's how the NFC East is going to go this Sunday. It's crazy. It really is. So it's going to be really crazy. And Washington's just got to take care of business. They really do. You know, this is a team who's struggling right now. They got to take care of business. I don't think the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I really don't. And my reasoning behind it all is because of the way they've been playing. Their offense has been atrocious. Jones has been atrocious. Their offense has been atrocious. Receiving core has been atrocious. Their offense has been very bad. It really has been very bad. And Jones yesterday, he got sacked 6 times. I mean, it was just ugly. It was ugly for the New York Giants. Got sacked 6 times, including 1 time he got sacked 3 times in a row. I mean, it was bad. It really was bad. He got sacked 6 times yesterday. 6 times by 5 different players. Judon got a sack. Board got 2 sacks. Ward got a sack. Ibuki got a sack. And McPhee got a sack. I mean, man, is it crazy. It is really crazy. He's getting sacked almost every single play. 6 sacks yesterday he took. 6 sacks. This offensive line is atrocious. And I'll tell you what, and I was talking to someone this morning about this. The offensive line's bad, and so is the receiving core. But this is where you got to fire Gettleman. Gettleman has done nothing to help that offensive line whatsoever. And I was talking to the person this morning, or today. You cannot possibly sit here and tell me that you can keep Gettleman after what his most recent draft pick has done. He has done nothing. Andrew Thomas has done nothing. Has done absolutely nothing. So, it really is crazy. But this offense line, I think, might be the worst in the NFL. Jones yesterday went 24-41, 252 yards, 10.5 was average, a touchdown, 6 sacks, and a rating of 84.6. Gallman had six carries for 27 yards. Shepard had 9 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. Ingram had 7 catches for 65 yards. Pettis had 2 catches for 33 yards. And the dominance on the other side of the ball. Lamar Jackson had 17 catches for 26 yards. Or not 17 completions. 17 to 26. 193 yards. 2 touchdowns. Temple was average. 2 touchdowns on a rating of 111.5. Edwards had 15 carries for 85 yards. Mark Andrews had 6 catches for 76 yards. Gus Edwards, 2 catches for 37 yards. And Marquise Brown, 4 catches for 25 yards. And Dez Bryant got a catch for 8 yards and a touchdown. So that's kind of how it went for the Giants. But the Giants have a shot at winning the division. That's what's most crazy. And I think Giants fans are happy about it. But it ain't going to be easy for the New York Giants, to say the very least. So with all that being said, let's get into the rest of the games this weekend for the NFL. We started off with the Packers and the Titans. Packers win this one 40-14. There's not much I have to say about this one other than the Packers dominated from start to finish. Devontae Adams, 3 touchdowns. Rodgers threw 4. Aaron Jones had a good game. Defense played well. All in all, a very good game for the Green Bay Packers and a tough loss for the Titans. Titans control their own destiny. They got a game coming up against the Texans. They win, they're in. They lose, it's going to be iffy. Even if they lose, they can still make the playoffs, but it would definitely make things interesting. But the Titans yesterday, they lost 10 and they moved to 10-5. Packers moved to 12-4. Packers, for the most part, have the NFC sealed up. For the most part, I mean, there's a chance if they lose next week, there's a small chance that the Saints or the Seahawks can win. But it's one of those things where, this team has to lose, this team has to win, everything has to line up for it. It's not really a realistic shot. So as long as the Packers take care of business this upcoming week, Packers look to be your NFC champions, and they will have the first round bye. They will be, the playoffs are going to have to run through Lambeau for the Green Bay Packers. So that's going to make things a lot interesting. Obviously, the Packers last year got the NFC Championship game, weren't able to get the job done, got destroyed by the Niners. This year, are they going to get the job done? I think the Packers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be a tough team to beat. They are not going to be an easy team to beat. They're not going to be a fun team to play. And to go through Lambeau with rumors of possibly having fans there, even if it's just a little bit of fans, the Lambeau environment, the cold weather, just not a great place to be playing in the playoffs if you're the opposing team. So this is big for the Packers. To have the playoffs run through Lambeau would be huge for the Packers, would be huge for the Packers, and would really, I think, could definitely make a difference. Because you talk about home field advantage without fans, Green Bay might have that. The cold weather, the snow, that kind of stuff. Some of these teams that are not used to playing in that could make a difference. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Packers do, but they look like they got the 1 seed locked up. So the Packers win 40-14. Cowboys beat the Eagles 37-17. I really wasn't expecting this. I mean, I thought the way the Eagles been playing, they almost beat the Packers. They almost beat the Cardinals. They beat the Saints. Jalen Hurts has been playing so well. I thought for sure they would have this game, and the reason is because I just don't know if I could believe in the Cowboys. I mean, I think the Cowboys have a very good shot at winning division, but it's definitely a good opportunity here, seeing what happens here with the what happens the rest of the way with the Cowboys. But I'll tell you what, man, the Cowboys played a good game yesterday, and Andy Dalton's doing everything he can for this team. He's doing everything he can, to be honest. He's trying his best. He threw for 3 touchdowns yesterday, 377 yards. He's trying his best. He had a very good game. But this is, he really is. He's trying his best. And I'll tell you what, for this Cowboys team, if the Redskins lose, the Cowboys have a great shot at making the playoffs. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me for saying this, and I want the Redskins to come out of the NFC East. I want them to win. But if the Redskins wouldn't win, the next team would be the Cowboys. I think, it would be a really cool story. I know a lot of people don't like Jerry Jones and all that, but, I'm not a big fan of his either. But, it would be a pretty cool story. I think with Dak Prescott going down earlier in the year with his gruesome injury, his terrible injury, hopefully he comes back better than ever next season. But, with him going down, Andy Dalton coming out, everyone being like, oh, this team's awful, McCarthy firing, possibly the rumblings of McCarthy being fired, and for this team to go get through all of that, to make the playoffs. And I'm not saying they're going to make a run, but at least to be in the playoffs, I think that would be pretty interesting to watch, and I think it would maybe draw some good ratings. I think it would draw some good ratings for the NFL too, knowing with everything this team's been through, to finally be heating up and maybe think, okay, possibly there's a chance here. I think there's a good shot that happening. But like I said, the Cowboys need the Washington to lose, and the Cowboys need Washington to lose, and the Cowboys also need a win. Cowboys lose, they're done. You could forget about it. So we'll see what happens there. But the Cowboys win. They played well. Dalton, Elliott, all of them had good games. Next up, Seahawks and the Rams. I'll tell you what, the Rams have really slowed down, and there's some bad news for the Rams. They are lucky they're in the NFC, they are very lucky they're in the NFC. Given that there's a chance that they still don't make the playoffs, but they're lucky they're in the NFC. If they were in the AFC right now, they would be gone. So bye-bye. See you later, Los Angeles Rams. But they are lucky they are in the NFC, because if they were in the NFC, if they were in the AFC, they would be gone. NFC, they are lucky. They could still get in at 9-7 and get a pretty high seed. That's how weak the NFC is. But the Rams are scaring me a little bit. With the loss last week to the Jets, then to come out flat on offense like they were yesterday, against a defense that is, not great. I mean, it's not a great defense. To go out there and play like they did, to kick 3 field goals, I don't know. I would be concerned if I was a Rams fan right now. And if I was Sean McVay, you got to do something, because this is not the right team. This is not the Rams team we saw going into Tampa Bay, beating Tampa, beating Seahawks, taking care of home field advantage against the Seahawks. This is not that Rams team. This is not the explosive defensive front and this explosive offensive Rams team that we saw just a couple weeks ago. This is not. Sean McVay's got to do something. Whether that's a change at some position, whatever the case may be, they've got to do something to give this team a spark, because they look flat on every side of the ball. Their defense did the job yesterday. They didn't have Russell Wilson have a crazy game, but it's a team that's got to do something, because they look terrible against the Jets and they look terrible again this week. And 3 field goals is not going to happen against an offense like the Seahawks. So Rams win, or Rams lose, Seahawks win. Seahawks looking pretty good. Definitely not the best team ever. I don't think they'll go very far in the playoffs, but the Seahawks are, making things interesting, to say the very least. Who knows? They could go far in the playoffs, I guess. There's always that chance of, anything could happen. It's sports. That's the beauty of sports. Any given day, something could happen in sports. Whether that's any given Sunday, whether that's baseball terms, any game, whatever the case may be. Upsets, game winners, anything can happen in sports. That's what they all say, and that's why sports is so fun, and that's why I love to watch it, because anything could literally happen in sports. So you never know, but at this very moment, it's not looking very good for the Rams, and Jared Goff's now also getting checked for a broken thumb. So that's negative on top of a negative on top of another negative for the Los Angeles Rams. They got to figure things out quickly, as playoffs are around the corner. Next up, Panthers, Washington. Washington, this is what I want to say, okay? Going into next week, the only way Washington wins the division is Alex Smith starting. That's it. The only way Washington wins the division and makes the playoffs is if Alex Smith starts. That's it. There's no other way of saying it. The only way Washington's winning the division is if Alex Smith starts. You can forget about Dwayne Haskins. You can forget about, this, and this. If Alex Smith doesn't start, Washington's not winning the division. I'll sit here and say, I'll be the first one to say it. I don't want to say it, but Washington's not going to win the division if Alex Smith does not start. If he starts, sure, they're in. If he doesn't, it's going to be another brutal game against the Eagles, a team who is showing signs of hope for the future. So, and the Panthers took care of business. The Panthers, another team too, playing spoilers. They made the NFC East a whole lot more interesting with that win yesterday. Washington loses. Dwayne Haskins looks terrible. He looks terrible. It got to be one of the biggest busts in a very long time. Haskins has to be. This has got to be one of the biggest busts I've seen in a very long time. I don't want to compare him to Ryan Leaf type of bust, but this has got to be one of the bigger busts of all time. And I think most of us can probably all agree on that. Next up, Broncos, Chargers. Chargers this time did, in fact, take care of business. Broncos lost. Chargers win. Chargers just adding on to what is a tough season. They could very well finish 7-9. That's not terrible for the way the season started off. Chargers winning some games. Chargers coming up, and Broncos also tough. But, like I said, there's also that, they play the Chiefs. That's going to be tough. But there's also that chance for the Broncos. It looks like they're keeping Vic Fangio, and they're going to keep Drew Lock at their quarterback position. So we'll see what they do there. But Broncos lost, couldn't generate much offense, and the Chargers could, and the Chargers won. Steelers, Colts. Steelers make an insane comeback. Was not expecting this game to happen the way it did. When I saw the Colts were winning that big, I was not expecting the Steelers to come back and win that game. Was not expecting that at all. And sure enough, I was wrong, and the Steelers got the job done, and they win the AFC North with the Browns loss. That means they win the AFC North. Bengals, Texans. Bengals won. Texans, man, they're in close games. I'm noticing with the Texans, man, their defense is really tough. It really is. I mean, it's not very good. And this Bengals defense isn't very good either, and they put up 31 points. This is a Bengals. I mean, I was expecting a hangover for the Bengals. Winning a game against a division opponent like they did, I was really expecting a hangover for them, but that was not the case. Texans lose again. It really. I think what's tough with the Texans is just their defense. I mean, Deshaun Watson's doing everything he can. He's working with what he's got. You give away your best receiver in Hopkins. He's working with everything he's got. So the Texans lose, Bengals win there. I was not expecting that. And Brandon Allen had a good game. He had a very efficient game. He looked good. Bengals look good. The Bengals are hurting their draft position, but overall, playing some good football. They're 5-10-1. So, and I said this last season as well, or 4-10-1. I said this last season as well. With the Jets, I know it was ruining their draft position and stuff, but I was hoping for wins. I was excited for wins. There's nothing better than watching your sports team win. It's the truth, and that's why I'm happy. I know the Jets. I know it's been a very bad season, and I want Gase fired. I can't stand Gase, and I know all that, but there's not a better feeling. And I know even if it's a meaningless win, even if it's a win that means absolutely nothing, it's still to see it win in the books that you were like the Rams win. I wasn't too happy about that. It ruined the chance at Trevor Lawrence. But the fact that we got the win yesterday, the New York Jets, and I was rooting for them to win and all that, it was good. I was excited to see the win, and like I said, I'm excited today. I'm enjoying the win. I'm enjoying this. Obviously, Bengals win. Ravens, Giants, we already covered that. Bears beat the Jaguars. The Bears, man, they're looking good. The Jaguars, like I said, this is another team that's not going to do much. Trubisky had another good game. He threw 2 touchdowns, 265 yards. Played pretty well. And Trubisky, man, he's really looking like he's legit. He is. He's looking like he's legit, and we'll get a true test coming up next week. They got a really good matchup. There's a couple good matchups that will decide that final playoff spot. Will it be the Cardinals or the Bears? And everything the Bears have gone through this season with Nick Foles to Trubisky to all that stuff, you wonder now if you never took out Trubisky, what could have happened. I'm still not sure if this Bears team's going to make it and win it and do it, or not win it all, but maybe win a playoff game. I'm not sure, but it's going to be a really entertaining game to see what happens there. So Bears win 41-17. Jaguars got nothing going for them. Some reason, Mike Lennon starts. Interesting in that. And like I said, I think the Jaguars are tanking there. Chiefs beat the Falcons. Chiefs, they've got some close games. Chiefs have definitely played in some close games this year. They get the job done, but they've been in a couple close games this year for the Kansas City Chiefs. And all these games have been cakewalk, easy ones for the Kansas City Chiefs. These have been a couple close games for the Kansas City Chiefs. I was not expecting this game to be the way it was. I was not expecting it to be this close at all. I was expecting it to be a blowout, especially with how bad the Falcons' defense is. But Younghoe Koo, probably the best kicker in the league at this very moment. One of the best kickers in the league. The fact that he blew the game like that, he misses the kick, is really, really, really just crazy. And, you hate to see that out of any player, especially a guy like him. With him getting cut and from teams and stuff and finally having a great season, obviously stinks. But it happens to a lot of them. It really does. And another tough defeat for the Atlanta Falcons. Just another one of these defeats where you have the game in your hands and you blow it late. It's obviously tough for them. It's obviously It's really tough for them. So, so obviously it's tough for them. But they got the job done. The Chiefs did. They played well and all that good stuff. Now into the Saturday games. I'll be quick with these since these already are a ways done now. Dolphins made the comeback win against the Raiders. Fitzmagic got the job done. Dolphins win 26-25. 49ers and Cardinals. 49ers won 20-12. Niners beat the Cardinals, make the playoff race a whole lot more interesting. And now they're making things interesting in the NFC. The Cardinals, Bears now are fighting for that last playoff spot. As of right now, the Bears hold the tiebreaker. So keep an eye out for that. Buccaneers, Lions. Buccaneers got the job done. Brady, all of them, clinch a playoff spot. And the Vikings, Saints. Alvin Kamara, 6 touchdowns. Saints got the win on Christmas. So that kind of does it for all those games. Now we move on to tonight's game. We got the Bills and the Patriots. Bills come in this game 11-3. Patriots come into this game 6-8. Bills are 7.5-point favorites. Patriots are obviously 7.5-point underdogs. The over/under 46.5 for this game. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. Johnson, ankle questionable. Neshke, groin questionable. And Gilman, knee is out for the Bills. Butler, shoulder questionable. Jennings, shoulder questionable. Back questionable. Andrews, calf questionable. Damian Harris, ankle questionable. Moncrief, thigh questionable. Oh my gosh, so many guys. Bentley, shoulder questionable. Cardona, ankle questionable. Lamar, ankle questionable. Henry, ankle questionable. J.C. Jackson, knee questionable. Jones, neck questionable. Simon, hamstring questionable. Taylor, quadricep questionable. Guy, shoulder questionable. Slater, knee questionable. Nick Folk, back questionable. Calhoun, knee questionable. Mason, calf questionable. And Bauer, ankle questionable. And Thomas, not injury related. He's out. Some of the league rankings: points per game, Bills are 6th, Patriots are 27th. Points per game allowed, Bills are 17th, Patriots are 6th. Total yards per game, Bills are 5th, Patriots are 24th. Pass yards per game, Bills are 3rd, Patriots are 30th. Let's see. Rush yards per game, Bills are 21st, Patriots are 5th. Rush yards per game allowed, Bills are 16th, Patriots are 10th. I give the Bills the win today. I think they get the job done. I think it's. I just think they're the better football team at the end of the day. I think the Bills are the better football team. I like what I've seen out of the Bills this entire season. To say the very least, it's been a very good season for the Bills. I give them the win 31-17. I think they cover, and I take the over on the over-under of 46.5. I think they cover, take the over on the over-under of 46.5, and I think the Bills cover and the Bills win. So that's my pick for tonight. Really is crazy, all these games. It really is. All those games, we got through all of them there in just about 42 minutes, so really crazy. Next up, next week, we got a lot of good games on. NFC East games are obviously the prime ones. Those are the really good games next week. But it should be a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to watch all the games next week, and it should be another good week of football. So, yeah, and the Jets win. That makes it all better. I know a lot of people, like I said, I've said this plenty of times today on the podcast, but I'm enjoying the win, happy about the win, good win for the Jets. Coming up next, we got fantasy football, fantasy basketball, and all of that, the results and advice coming up next. So it really is crazy. Fantasy football is winding down. Next week will be our final week of doing our rosters and all that good stuff. Next week will be the final week doing the rosters, doing really everything in between. Next week is it for fantasy football. So we have one more big week upcoming, doing your rosters, waiver ads, and all that good stuff. All that next week. So it's pretty interesting to see here what happens. But my team yesterday did very well. Rodgers had 33 points. Chris Carson had 7. David Johnson had 25. Devontae Adams 32. Robert Woods 4. Robert Tonyan 1. Allen Robinson 10. Bills defense 7. Daniel Carlson had 12. My bench, Elliott 13. Moore had 3. Gronk had 17. Ronald Jones had none. Eckler had 12. Gaskin had 28. And Ayuk had 3. So love the performance out of my players yesterday, especially Adams, 11 catches for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns. Rodgers had a big day. Adams had a big day. Allen Robinson had another good game. He had 103 yards. He had 10 points. A good game for him. An overall good thing for my team. Tanyan only had one catch, which is kind of odd. Was not expecting that, but we'll see what happens there. Gaskin, I'm thinking about playing. I don't know what I'm going to do with Carson. I don't know what I'm going to do with Carson. I mean, what I might do is put David Johnson and Chris Carson in, take out Robert Woods, put in Allen Robinson at the wide receiver, and put Gaskin at the flex. Because I love what I'm seeing out of Myles Gaskin. I really do. I love what I see out of Myles Gaskin. And Robert Woods and them play, and they say he's a must-start next week. And Robert Woods plays Arizona. I mean, I think I'm going to put in Gaskin, honestly. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in Myles Gaskin. So I'm winning right now 128-80. Still got Bills defense to play tonight. Which is pretty good. I'm excited. Hopefully Bills defense as well. I like the favorable matchup. Cam Newton and that Patriots offense has stunk this season. In my other league, Watson at 25, Gibson at 6, David Johnson at 25, Hill at 6, Mike Evans at 30, Devontae Adams at 32, Kittle at 9, A.J. Brown at 4, Bills defense playing tonight, Darren Carlson at 13. Bench, Kenyon Drake at 10, Keenan Allen, James Robinson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire all at 0s. They were all out. Robert Tonyan had 1, and Chris Godwin had 14. George Kittle's return, he got me 9 points. It was a solid performance out of him. Tyreek Hill was only a limited snap count, but he still got 65 yards, so he still had a pretty solid game. But yeah, I'm winning right now 150-81 in this league as well. It's looking pretty good at the moment for me in this league. So 150-81 looking good, and I still got Bills defense to go there. So yeah, pretty excited, and as my other league is as well. As for fantasy basketball, I lost my first matchup. I'm 0-1, but it's the first matchup of many. As a matter of fact, I can see how many matchups we have. We have a ton of matchups. It's the first matchup of many, so I'm not too concerned. But I'm 0-1 right now. We shall see. Tonight I got Trae Young, Jeremy Grant, Anthony Davis, Yusuf Nurkic, Kyrie Irving, and Jonas Valanciunas playing. And my opponent's countering with Murray, Harden, LeVert, Harrell, and McCollum. So my opponent's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 players. So should be interesting. So, I'm excited to see what all happens there. So, yeah. Anthony Davis is day-to-day. Davis' calf has been ruled out for Sunday's game. That was yesterday. So we'll see what the new news on him is today. Butler's also day-to-day. Butler, he wasn't going to return to that game. And Oladipo's also day-to-day. This news came in yesterday. Was ruled out for Sunday's game. He's got a knee. So Davis is my real important one because I need him to play. Big time, I really need him to play. So, yeah. So that's what I got for fantasy basketball. Hopefully that goes well there. Now we move on to college football, college basketball, and all that good stuff. Wow. Breaking news. Dwayne Haskins released. Breaking news. This just came in. Dwayne Haskins has been released. Former first-round pick released by Washington football team after being benched in team's loss to the Carolina Panthers. Wow. That is crazy. Dwayne Haskins has been released. Washington football team. Washington has released Dwayne Haskins, former first-round pick of Washington football team after being benched in team's loss. So they released Dwayne Haskins. So Washington has released Dwayne Haskins, which you know what this means. This means that This means, that's pretty crazy. That really is crazy. So this means that more than likely that means Alex Smith's looking for the start then. Because they released him. So yeah, so that's pretty crazy. Now we move on to college football. I'll get into more of that tomorrow as well. Blake Snell also got traded to the Padres. I'll get into more of that as well tomorrow. No football games on today. But as for the other games, as for some of the bowl games, Liberty beat Coastal Carolina, Louisiana beat UTSA, BYU beat UCF, and all that other good stuff. As for college basketball, we got some games on today. Wisconsin, Maryland give Wisconsin the win. Michigan State, Minnesota give Michigan State the win. And Gonzaga, Northern Arizona give Gonzaga the win. And as for NBA, oh, by the way, for Kentucky, they played on Saturday. They lost to Louisville. Kentucky really struggled. They lost to Louisville. It's not looking good for Kentucky, to say the very least. It really isn't. Another frustrating loss for us. This is just a team that we've just got to get better. I mean, we're really young, and that's the thing. We're really, really, really young, so we're going to have to get better. But, I mean, we've got to get better with the fouls, and we've got to take smarter shots. We've got to take smarter shots. This is very unacceptable. This is Kentucky. This is not normal. So, we've got to take better shots and stuff. And now we move on to the NBA and the Nets. Nets did, in fact, lose yesterday, but we got the win on Christmas Day. Played well yesterday. We did not play well. Very frustrated about the loss, but we got to turn around today and see if we get the win. Nets, Grizzlies, I give the Nets the win. Pistons, Hawks, I give Hawks, Pistons, give Hawks the win. Jazz, Thunder, give Jazz the win. Rockets, Nuggets, give Nuggets the win. And Lakers, Trailblazers, give Lakers the win. So those are the picks for the NBA. Hopefully the Nets win there. So, yeah, so that's what I got for a podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. A big day, big podcast full of sports, recaps, and all that good stuff. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I know I did. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Obviously, it feels good to be back. Obviously, a little bit of a break, obviously, with Christmas. So, it feels good to be back podcasting again, talking all the good sports. But, yeah, with all that being said, we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.